the last time we met and we did this sort of thing.
The pen's going to fall.
The pen is going to fall? Oh, this pen?
And yeah. There we go. I think we're ready now.
All right.
The last time we met.
Yes, was at this event that I dubbed From the Ruins of a Greenhouse.
Ah.
And we were on a stage, and there was fire, and there were 100 people, and there was some beer, and it was a lovely evening, to my recollection. And by the time we were getting to the end of my list of questions, I could feel the pressure of it's dragging on a little bit. We need to get to the musical part of it. So I had 2 questions left. So I figured I'll just start with those as a kind of a warm-up. So we were talking back then about death and dying and working with dying people. So we were in that realm. And I had a question. It was sort of a bonus question because I didn't know if it was too silly or something, but I'm taking my chances. So here's the question. Do you imagine the place, and I don't know if place is the right word here, but I'm going to go with it anyway for now. Do you imagine the place we are before we are born to be the same as?
That's a great question. Well, it's a question part about topography or geography, sort of spirit geography, and it's partly about my capacity to imagine or pay attention. Is it a circle? You know, that we begin where we end, where we begin, where we end, and so on. If it were simply a circle, flat, in temporal terms, 2-dimensional, then you'd think there'd be some proof, some evidence of a general or generic improvement over time. Why are you laughing? Because there's no such evidence at all. You'd never guess that we'd been at this for any length of time at all. In one lifetime. Never mind multiple lifetimes. So on that basis, it's hard to credit the notion that we've had a go at this, or some version of it, or we had a bit of a kind of map fall out in front of us prior to our appearance on the scene. If it were so, I think the oncomingness of our dying would provide something similar, some kind of circuit board, you could say, where things become bearable or demonstrable or something like this. But that's rarely what happens too. So we do get in the way. I mean, I'll grant that. We, at the back end, at the dying end, we definitely get in the way of any kind of soothing that might be generically available. But on the coming in end, well, I don't know that we look particularly reassured then either. No. So Blake called us trailing clouds of glory, I think it was. This notion that we have some, if you will, chemtrail of our beginnings that fans out behind us as we sear our way across the psychic firmament. If we do, I think that's lost on us. Or if it's not lost, something happens between inception and the acquisition of speech, where by the time we can talk, we've precious little to say and very little to remember. On the other hand, there are people much wiser in these matters than me, thankfully. And they say, I've heard them say it, that occasionally, you know, a newborn will get some kind of look, a faraway look, or suddenly, for, quote, no apparent reason in the present moment, smile or even chuckle or chortle or something like this. And these people say that they're being reminded of their beginnings in those moments, that their makers are reaching towards them and reassuring them that all is not completely lost, because they find themselves in a room full of strangers all gawking at them. That's a beautiful thought to think, you know, and if it's not true, God knows it should be. I don't think preferences matter in this question. I think the willingness to see things for what they are matters, you know. I've had occasion lately to, as they say in formal English, entertain the prospects again. Not from the point of view of the work, but from the point of view of my own frailties. And, you know, you come up against your habits, your fear habits, your dread habits, you know, which you'd think would be unbecoming there towards the end. You'd think there'd be a kind of either wisdom or peace of mind or something like that would simply move the dread to the periphery, where it properly belongs. Not get rid of it, just give it its proper place, you know, so it doesn't take over the whole joint. And, you know, the able practitioners of meditation and so on can probably do that. The rest of us mere mortals are left to our habits. So, if anything, maybe we could say this about it: that we come from a land, a place, a kind of time-space strangeness, where there are no persistencies, no habits maybe. And we come to the end of this allotment full of those things. Is there any opportunity to reacquire a habitless engagement with the rudiments of being alive? I'm holding out for yes. I don't have a lot of evidence, and I'm not a great practitioner, but if I have a choice, that's what I'd like to see if I could get to. And if that turns into a circle, I'm almost certain it's 3 dimensions, in a sense like a spiral, that it doesn't replicate itself over and over and over again. It arcs out through time, and it's the only 3-dimensional vision of time we've come up with, is the spiral, I think. So maybe it's that way. Maybe it's not you begin where you started. Maybe you arc out over your beginnings there towards the end. You see them as if from a distance. And maybe it confers upon you a sense of well-being that simply being here doesn't.